car needs to be rolling in order for us to get it home, because it needs to go on a trailer. It needs to go on a trailer to get on a shipping container to get it to Greece, and then traded from Greece all the way back to the UK.
The most powerful companies don't usually fear YouTubers. They ignore them until they can't. At one point, Ferrari reportedly made it nearly impossible for Mat Armstrong to get support for his own car. But then, something unexpected happened. Instead of being pushed aside, Mat's influence kept growing. And now, reports of a remarkable offer from Toyota's leadership are turning heads across the automotive world. It is going to change everything, and making some of the industry's biggest names look very uncomfortable. The deal nobody saw coming. Let us start with what is actually on the table, because this is the part that has the entire automotive world talking right now. Reports circulating in June of 2026 describe Toyota Gazoo Racing preparing something that no manufacturer has ever offered a YouTuber before. The deal being described would hand Mat Armstrong a decommissioned, race-used GR010 hybrid. That is not a show car. That is not a museum piece behind velvet rope. That is the actual Le Mans hypercar that Toyota has been campaigning at the top of endurance racing since 2021. A machine with a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6 in the back and an electric motor on the front axle, producing a combined 500 kilowatts, which works out to more than 670 horsepower. And here is the part that should make you sit up. The brief being reported is not a photo shoot. It is an invitation to take the car apart completely, to understand every system inside it, and to show millions of ordinary people what actually lives inside one of the most sophisticated hybrid racing machines ever built, with Toyota's own engineers standing beside him answering questions. Think about that for a second. These are engineers who designed an energy recovery system that survives 24 straight hours of racing through rain and darkness at Le Mans. They do not give interviews. They do not appear on podcasts. And yet, the conversation now is about putting them on camera, with full cooperation, for a man who started his career filming a crashed Audi with a GoPro. If you have followed Mat's story for any length of time, you already know why this feels almost unbelievable. The biggest names in this industry did not open doors for him. They bolted them shut. They sent technicians across oceans to declare his projects dead. One of them blacklisted an entire car from its own parts network just to stop him. So when news of this offer started spreading, the question on everyone's mind was not whether Mat deserved it. The question was, why Toyota, of all companies, would do the one thing Bugatti and Ferrari refused to even consider. The answer is hiding inside a decision Toyota made years ago, and inside the strange double life of the man at the very top of the company. The racing empire behind the offer. To understand why this offer makes sense, you need to understand that Toyota is not behaving like a normal car company right now, and it has not been for years. While most manufacturers treat racing as a marketing expense, Toyota built Gazoo Racing into a genuine engineering empire. Between 2018 and 2022, Toyota won the 24 Hours of Le Mans 5 times in a row. First with the TS050 hybrid, and then with the GR010, completely dominating the most punishing race in the world. They compete at the top of the World Rally Championship. They turned that racing knowledge into road cars like the GR Yaris, the GR86, and the GR Corolla, machines that ordinary people can actually buy, and that exist purely because the engineering department won an argument with the accounting department. Then, in December of 2025, Toyota went even further. They became the title sponsor of the Haas Formula One team, rebranding it as the TGR Haas F1 team, complete with technical collaboration, a driver development program, and a simulator installed at the team's base in Banbury. Team principal Ayao Komatsu described the partnership as being built around people, product, and pipeline, focused on developing drivers, engineers, and mechanics for the long term. And Akio Toyoda, the chairman himself, said something remarkable about that season. He said he had watched young Toyota drivers and engineers begin to believe in their own potential, and that Toyota had finally begun to move, really move. Now, here is the detail that most people watching this story have completely missed. Akio Toyoda is not a normal executive. He races under a fake name, Morizo, a pseudonym he invented back in 2007 when his own board refused to let him race under the Toyota name at the Nürburgring. He drifts cars in front of crowds at festivals. He once explained his entire philosophy in one sentence, saying he developed cars because he wanted to see the smiles of the people. This is a chairman who fought his own company for the right to be a car enthusiast. A company run by a man like that does not look at Mat Armstrong and see a threat. It sees the exact audience it has spent 20 years trying to reach. Millions of people who watch a 50-minute rebuild video at 11 at night because they genuinely want to know how things work. But to feel the full weight of what Toyota is reportedly offering, you first have to watch what happened when another hypercar maker decided that this same man needed to be stopped. The war Bugatti started and could not win. The Bugatti chapter of this story begins with a purple Chiron Pur Sport, one of only 60 ever built, worth somewhere between $4 and $4.5 million when intact. Its owner, a Miami content creator named Alex Gonzalez, crashed it, took the insurance payout, and then bought the wreck back at a Copart auction for roughly $1.9 million after fees. He then asked Mat Armstrong to lead the rebuild, and that decision lit a fuse under the entire industry. Bugatti flew a technician out to inspect the car and declared it a total loss. Their early repair estimate reached around $1.7 million. And even when that figure later dropped to somewhere between $600,000 and $700,000, it required shipping the car to France, which the owner refused. And then Bugatti did something that turned a rebuild project into an international story. They locked the car's identification number inside their global dealer system, which meant that no official Bugatti dealership anywhere on the planet was allowed to sell a single part for this specific vehicle. I want you to really sit with that. The company that built the car blacklisted it from its own parts network, not because the car was stolen, not because of fraud, but because the wrong people wanted to fix it. The standoff escalated until Gonzalez publicly threatened to start 3D printing replacement parts, giving Bugatti a deadline to lift the blacklist. What happened next stunned everyone. Nate Rimac, the chief executive of Bugatti Rimac, slid directly into his messages, opening with the words, "Hey man, Bugatti CEO here," and promising to help do the rebuild in the most cost-efficient way. Shortly after, the car was no longer blacklisted. Rimac then posted a public video responding to the project, saying that most of what people hear about Bugatti service costs is simply not true, warning that the carbon monocoque and gearbox could not be safely reproduced, and admitting that the real price of a headlight was closer to 50,000 euros than the rumored 150,000. Matt's reaction on the Cars and Money podcast says everything. He called it absolutely mental that the CEO of Bugatti was even watching the videos, let alone responding to them. Meanwhile, his team kept working, discovering along the way that certain Chiron airbag components share part numbers with an ordinary Audi A3, and eventually they got the car running again with a custom exhaust fitted. Bugatti at least picked up the phone in the end. The next manufacturer in this story never even offered him that courtesy. The door Ferrari slammed shut. While the Bugatti saga was still unfolding, Matt bought a wrecked Ferrari 296 GTB. And this is where the story stops being about one stubborn manufacturer and starts looking like a pattern. The car arrived with its hybrid system locked in failure mode, displaying a message telling him to go to a dealer, because the fault sat inside a battery controller module that only Ferrari's own diagnostic equipment can touch. So Matt did the reasonable thing. He called Ferrari. What he learned in February of 2026 should worry anyone who has ever owned anything with a logo on it. Because the car had been crash damaged, Ferrari's factory rules barred it from receiving any diagnostic work until the repair had been inspected and signed off by a Ferrari-approved body shop. There was just one problem. and Matt admitted it openly. He had already fitted the car with genuine 296 Challenge race parts and a wide body kit. And as he put it himself, the car was never going to pass that inspection precisely because of the race kit. He emailed Ferrari, hoping they would reconsider, and the automotive press immediately compared the situation to Bugatti's blacklist and to Jay Leno's old complaints about how Ferrari treats its own customers. Now pause and think about what this actually means for you, not just for a YouTuber with millions of subscribers. A company sold a car. That car was legally bought, legally repaired, and legally modified. And the manufacturer still holds the power to decide whether it is ever allowed to run again. If they can do that to a man with 7 million people watching, imagine what happens to an ordinary owner with nobody watching at all. This is the quiet war happening underneath every flashy rebuild video. A war over who really owns a machine after the money changes hands. By this point, Matt had been declared a problem by two of the most exclusive brands in existence. Bugatti locked him out and then blinked. Ferrari simply locked him out. 2 doors, 2 refusals. One consistent message that people like him were not welcome inside, which makes what happened in Germany one rainy season earlier all the more extraordinary. Because one famous tuning house did not just open its door to him. Its founder personally stayed up all night, fixing his car for free. The night Mansory called his work wrong. In September of 2023, Manchester United striker Marcus Rashford crashed his Mansory-tuned Rolls-Royce Wraith Black Badge on a rainy evening, leaving the Carrington training ground, colliding with a car driven by a 74-year-old woman before hitting a pole on a traffic island. Nobody was hurt, but a car that had cost him roughly £750,000, with barely more than 1,000 miles on the clock, was written off completely. In early 2024, Mat Armstrong won the auction for the wreck at £185,000 and almost immediately discovered the damage ran far deeper than the listing suggested. The rebuild became a financial mountain. He spent another £90,000 buying an entire second Rolls-Royce Wraith purely as a donor car, then around $50,000 on Mansory parts and $35,000 more on the interior, pushing the total to roughly £324,000. And then came a wall that money could not climb. A security system locked through the insurance process meant the car refused to start through normal means. Here is where the story turns warm in a way nobody expected. Rashford's own management team had been quietly watching the videos. They reached out, handed over the security code, and sent a spare key. Mansory floor mats, a grille surround, and original accessories, telling Matt they were simply glad someone was taking care of the car. When the Wraith was finally roadworthy, Matt drove it across Europe, starting at a racing circuit in Spain, passing through Monaco, where someone managed to drop a moped onto his rear bumper at a fuel station, and ending at Mansory's headquarters in Germany. Kourosh Mansory, the actual founder, walked around the car, looked Matt in the eye, and told him everything was wrong with how he had fixed it. Honestly, most of us would have wanted the ground to swallow us whole in that moment, but instead of throwing him out, Mansory's team spent the entire night correcting the work at no charge, fitting new wheels worth around $10,000, realigning panels, and adding the branded details Matt could never source himself. Matt drove home in a car carrying the personal blessing of the man who created it. That night in Germany proved manufacturers could choose respect over rejection, and it raised an obvious question about the man himself. None of this access was given to him. Every bit of it was earned in a story that begins with a broken shoulder and a 600-pound wreck. The man they could not lock out. Mat Armstrong was never supposed to be in the car world at all. Born in Leicester in June of 1993, he grew up around his father, Tony's garage, but his first dream was professional BMX, riding under a Mad Gear Pro sponsorship and competing in France, Germany, and Dubai. That dream died mid-air at the BMX World Championships in Germany. where a 720 tail whip ended with a dislocated shoulder so unstable it would pop out randomly, even while he slept. If you have ever had the one thing you were good at taken away from you in a single moment, you know exactly the kind of fear that follows a person home from a hospital. What came next was years of pure grind that most viewers never think about. He stacked shifts at Halford's, worked evenings at Evans Cycles, ran kitchen hours at an Indian restaurant in Leicester, and handled the online side of a Ford performance specialist, stitching together 13-hour days just to stay afloat. His YouTube channel, launched in April of 2013 for BMX clips, sat almost dormant for years. Then his girlfriend Hannah crashed her Audi TT on the way home from work. The insurer wrote it off, and Matt bought it back for £600, picked up a GoPro, and filmed himself bringing it back to life. No crew, no budget, just a damaged car, and a man who could explain what he was doing. The gamble that changed everything came in late 2019, when he took roughly £10,000 he had saved as a house deposit and spent it on a crashed Bentley Continental GT instead. Most people would call that reckless, and honestly, part of me would have too. But that Bentley attracted his first major sponsorship, and when Richard Hammond publicly acknowledged the build, an entirely new audience flooded in. From there, the projects kept escalating. A Lamborghini Murcielago, a flooded Porsche 911 GT3 RS, a Porsche GT3 rebuilt in Florida alongside Tavarish, and a flood-damaged Aston Martin DBX 707 that he rebuilt and gifted to his father. A video that alone passed 6 million views. By June of 2026, the main channel stood near 6.9 million subscribers with close to 1 billion total views. Every manufacturer that tried to shut him out only made that audience bigger. And that simple fact is exactly what the reported Toyota offer is really about, because it would flip the entire industry playbook upside down. What happens when the doors finally open? Here is the angle almost nobody is talking about. The reported Toyota offer is not really a story about one YouTuber getting a race car. It is a story about an industry quietly admitting it was wrong. For years, the standard creator partnership has been polite product placement, where a manufacturer lends a car, a creator smiles next to it, and the audience smells the advertisement within 30 seconds. And separately, the standard response to independent rebuilders has been hostility, blacklisted parts, refused diagnostics, and locked security codes. Bugatti played defense. Ferrari played absent. Mansory arrived at the end to fix what was done without them. What is being described with Toyota is the opposite of all three. It would be a manufacturer opening the doors at the very beginning, trusting an outsider with its most advanced machine and the obscure engineers behind it, and betting that honest engineering, shown completely, is the most powerful content that can exist. That is not sponsorship. That is confidence. And it would instantly expose every blacklist and every refused inspection for what they always were, which is fear dressed up as policy. A company that wins Le Mans 5 years running, whose chairman races under a fake name because his own board once told him no, understands something the others forgot. Enthusiasm cannot be controlled. It can only be welcomed or wasted. One important note of honesty, because Matt himself built his name on it. As of right now, this deal exists only in reports and industry chatter, with no official announcement from Toyota and no confirmation video from Matt. It may land exactly as described, or it may evolve into something different. But the direction of travel is unmistakable. The CEOs are already watching. One of them already slid into the messages. The race is now about which manufacturer is brave enough to go first, and every signal points toward the company whose chairman drifts cars for the smiles of strangers. A man who once could not afford his own rent may soon hold the keys to a Le Mans-winning hypercar, handed over willingly by the largest carmaker on Earth. That is the full story. So now I want to hear from you, because your take genuinely shapes what we cover next. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and do not forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.